Hey guys, it's me Chandra again. So in here we'll do a preparation for Wuthering Wave. Maybe in here you kinda still have question what actually define meta in Wuthering Waves. Is it actually really important? And I will give you a basic of a team building guide in here. So let's get started. And I believe people will not satisfy with my answer because this answer is literally not satisfying even for myself. But in Wuthering Wave, meta is not as straightforward to define that I can say, okay, this is for sure meta. Because Wuthering Wave is type of the game that action based, so it's really rely on your own in-game skill, your reflex. So different type of playstyle, different type of your, let's say your skill itself will give you a different definition what is meta. So in the end, the one that will give you the definition of meta is depend on your playstyle itself. So knowing your playstyle is very important. So from that, it will start to define what is your meta standard. And especially right now, this is 1.0. Usually meta is not really well developed because it will not really that clear. I play Genshin, Honkai Star PGR, usually 1.0, the meta is not even clear. Yes, there is already meta, but it's not like we can say that's the definite answer. So we don't really know also how fast they will change the power creep in this game, what typical mods, is there anything that they want to add, make changes, something like it also will make difference. Especially maybe in the future they will add certain mod that maybe only favor certain type of the character, so it can be changed for sure. So I will give you example in here. After I play a lot of CBT2, I can define what is my meta at least at 1.0. So my definition of meta is that a team that can fully synergize between one another without have any meaningful drawback. So it can cover from damage, buffing and healing in the same time. So it can cover from damage, buffing and give you survivability. It either can come from healing or tank. Which is in here, I believe not all of you will agree. Maybe some people will agree, some of the people will not agree with this take, because probably maybe if you have like higher ceiling of like skill itself, you say, I don't need healing, I just need damage and buff and I can just ready to go. I don't need healer. I just put damage, buff everything in here and I'm just going dodging. And that's also can be true, and I absolutely agree, and that's true too. Because I already say in the end, it's depend on your playstyle itself. Because when I try CBT2, Wuwa is one of the gacha game that I can say in the difficult side, along with of course the another game from Kuro which is PGR. But Wuwa also have difficult that I even find like even more difficult than PGR itself. For the end game we don't talk about overall. Overall is pretty much easy, but for the end game like hologram is require you in-game skill. At least minimum like dodging, reflex, parry, that's already like the minimum if you want to maximize your kinda like clear. If not, maybe you can run out of time. So because of that, like yeah, require you in-game skill. Maybe some people will struggle, keep retrying and give me the same vibe when I struggle in Soul series, let's say like Elden Ring, Dark Souls, and remember also like kinda like have essence from Monster Hunter. So in here, what the key for you to defeat those games, let's say like Monster Hunter, Elden Ring, is building your playstyle, right? So some people can will give you like, let us say like, oh, this one meta, but you just like cannot stand with those playstyle because maybe you don't like the weapon, you don't like this build. So you need the adjustment for yourself. So that's why I say your playstyle is very important in here. So yeah, that's why I say rather you too much focus on the meta itself, focus for your playstyle, make it comfy, and then yeah, you can already start to have on your head or what is type of meta that you can go. And that's about things regarding meta. Now we'll move into the basic of team building. So actually, what is the standard of team building? What is actually a good team, something like that? Like I said before, actually depends on your playstyle, but in general, for the basic, this is just general player, so this can work for all type of player. Usually the type of format of Wuthering with a good team consists of main DPS, sub DPS, including buffing, and the last one is sustain, can be healer or tank. To give you more details what is actually main DPS in this game, main DPS in this game is usually type of character that usually on their kit is basically heavily goes in dealing damage. Just if you already read in their kit, they're starting about maybe buffing team. Maybe some of them have, but most of the games is just like heavily like 90% only going into dealing damage. One of the example like Jian, you can read all of his kit is just dealing damage. Even the outro skill, not even buffing, just focus on dealing damage. Same like Kalkaro, something like that. So this is usually what we categorize as a main DPS. But also there's some exception, let's say like Dungeon, although she still has like ability to buff others, but in the end still around like 80% of her kit is still about dealing damage, so still can categorize as a main DPS. As for the sub DPS is this type of the character that work as a second DPS, so their main job still dealing damage, but also they have additional feature which is as a buffer, which they give you buff to each others. Let's say one of the case like Yinlin. Yinlin is type of the character that she deals quite good amount of damage, relatively good, like the ultimate is also relatively strong. But also, when you perform the outro skill, she give buff, which is electro damage and resonance liberation or ultimate itself. So meaning that besides not only like dealing damage, she also provide like buffing to all the teams, which is that's why she categorized as a sub DPS. Another couple example, let's say like Sanhua, Yang, they're also dealing decent damage and also give you buff to your teams. So that usually categorized as a sub DPS, or you can call support. However, it's also viable if you want to call them support. Just go with whatever that you find like more comfortable, sub DPS or support. But I just give you a reminder again, support in this case is not to healing, okay? This is mostly for give you buff. Because the third type, this is what the one we will dealing with the healing, which is sustain type character, which is mostly you are focusing on survivability, can be healer or as a tanker itself. If they can give you buff, that's also very good, nice additional stuff. So example in here, there's not much option actually. It was only Farina, Baiji, Genshin, and Taochu. So in here, I will give you example of the team, including what if my version of meta team itself. So I will give you first, which is Dajin, Mortapi, and Farina. I call this is free-to-play meta team because I feel like this team, although only require 1 5-star, it's still relatively good because Dajin, she deal a lot of damage, assuming they did a nerf. This character is crazy, dealing a lot of damage. And Mortapi in here will work as a sub DPS or support you can call, because Mortapi, when you use the ultimate, it will have this kind of like fireball that can works as outfielder, and also when you trigger outro skill, it will give you heavy attack buff, which is just like buff dungeon. Also Farina in here will give you healing and give you protection so you can stay alive, and also will buff your team. So it's basically just give massive steroids to dungeon itself. So this one relatively achievable for free to play. So that's why I say this is meta free to play, where it has everything: survivability, buffing, and damage. Another thing that I already keep mentioning in my previous video, which is Kalkaro, Yinlin, and Farina. Yeah, they are premium, but I call premium meta team. Yeah, so that's one of the few example. But in the end, this game always not all about meta, right? Because some people will not always enjoy to just play meta. They just want to play character that they want, which is I also agree. I like also actually this type of take, because sometimes I want to play meta, sometimes I don't. And as long as you already know the basic of how to make team that actually can synergize between each other, at least hopefully that I say before give you an idea, then you can make another like type character that actually can synergize and still can work relatively good. Maybe not really that strong, but can works. Let's say like Lingyang, Sanhua, and Baiji. All of them also ice, and all of them can be worked between each other because Lingyang is ice DPS, Sanhua can work as a sub DPS in ice or Glacio. Sorry, I just remember it's Glacio. And Baiji is healer, and also it worked in the Glacio too. But element in here is not really relevant unless they have resistance, so that's the only things where maybe element can help. Or the other things that if you don't realize, basically Kuro already gives you a good set of starter character, which is Robert, Yang, and Baiji. One is main DPS, Yang works as a sub DPS because it gives you decent damage and gives you energy. Baiji works as a healer. So basically these 3 starting characters also already quite synergize relatively good. Not the best, but at least hey, it works. But in the end, that's also my standard. You can also create with your own team building that based on your playstyle. So that's everything that I want to talk. I know some of you will not satisfied because the answer is ambiguous, because really the one that can define meta is your playstyle. That's the main determinant, because once you already know your playstyle type, then you can define your own meta. Then you can start to look, okay, maybe my playstyle like this, I can go with this content creator or this type, like maybe my friend type of playstyle, and they make a very good team, then you can follow something like that. So that's what I mean in very short way. That's why I can say this is the art of Wuwa that makes also this game is unique though. So pretty much that's it. If you like this video, feel free to hit the button and like, and I will see you next time. Bye bye.